Church of the SubGenius Foundation will be back.
Oh, I promised to demonstrate the recently unearthed double SubGenius salute. You occasionally see SubGeniuses doing that, which I'm going to ask you all to do soon. But there's a super secret one I'm going to go ahead and reveal, even to the uninitiated. And it takes two hands and an Adam's apple, and it's really tricky, but it goes, let's see if I can do this right. Needs practice. Anyway, friends, ladies and gentlemen, step right up. Welcome to the SubGenius Medical Curiosity Show. It's all real, it's all here, it's alive and all on the inside. See the smart boy who can't keep a job. See the pretty girl who can't get a date. Alive and on the inside. We have diseases that are spread through sexual congress. We have debates settled by fisticuffs. We have people famous only for being famous, and they're all inside. Alive, alive, alive. See grown men and women talk to an invisible monster that lives in the sky. See your own body become more fragile before your very eyes. Feel the horror as schools turn innocent children into innocent adults. Feel the shocking tales wherein you pay to work. They're all on the inside, friends. We have a picture of a salesman who smokes a pipe. What other religions charge all worldly goods for? We offer at a discounted low rate. Read words on a cathode ray tube, attend amateur performance art, religious satires, get slack and feel alive on the inside. So now we've weeded out the riffraff and brought them all here. That's the way this works. Friends, thanks for coming to Starwood. And let's all thank A.C.E. and Brushwood for letting us get away with all this for so many years. Like it says right here, 18, Starwood Festival, number 18. I think there was a SubGenius involved there. And we learned last night at the Rumble and the Rumble of the Dead for our beloved friend Chaz, who got on the escape saucers early, that we learned that there is such a thing as too many chill pills. And possibly as a result of that, has anybody seen my little recorder? I have a little, I lost a little audio, digital recorder. Oh, it has been found. Praise Bob! You see? Now this is something as SubGenius, I did it kind of back-ass words. The normal way for a SubGenius to do things is to expect the miracle first. And then if it doesn't happen, then you get off your butt and try. Oh, I'm glad to have that, because I had some nice Maggie Pearson EJ. And by the way, y'all, don't miss Maggie Pearson EJ's show tonight. That's tonight, right? I believe, yeah. It's going to be something. Yes, too many chill pills. I went out looking for that little recorder earlier today with a golf cart. And I pulled up to the medical thing where they have lost and found. And I jumped out and asked them, they didn't have it. And then I jumped into their golf cart and drove away. And didn't even notice the difference in the flags on the back or anything, friends. Proving that I am an official true SubGenius. Speaking of SubGenius designed covers, although he didn't put the number 18 here instead of 28. Our friend Craig Mitchell, or otherwise known as Pater Nostril, did the artwork on this and the mailer, which is a collage of pictures taken here at Starwood, mostly of the bonfire and the sunset. I just wanted, it's a tradition for the artist of the cover not to get credited, and often it's me or my wife, Princess Wee. And this time I'm crediting Pater Nostral because he did. Now we've got the traditional stuff out of the way. We can begin the revival, friends. Roll up your sleeves, bend over, pull out your wallets, and close your eyes, because here comes the word of Bob. Now, can I get a praise, Bob? Praise Bob! Oh, yes, I'd love to hear that. That conformity of nonconformists, isn't it beautiful? But really, you know, the only thing that each subgenius has in common is that they have nothing in common with the conspiracy of the normal people, which we will be getting to. In fact, I don't think we can get out of it. No, I'm going to do something that we all have to do 8 times a day out here at Brushwood, which is change clothes. It's really hot. I'm going to take off this televangelist outfit, as shiny as it is. You know, it's like in the morning you get up and have to put on 2 pairs of pants and a coat, and then in about an hour you have to strip down to a t-shirt and shorts, and then finally just the t-shirt. And then later on it gets cold. So suddenly you're back in the coat and the pants again, and then you do too much. You take one chill pill too many, and the next thing you know, you're naked again, even though it's freezing cold. So, you don't, now friends, you won't see me dancing around the fire naked, but, for several reasons. But one of which is that I actually personally don't believe in most of this crap. But last year, I remember our friend Reverend Mowgli said, "Reverend Stang, do you really believe in magic?" And I said, "No." But I was speaking too soon, because actually I believe in Bob's 5 keys to magic. The first of which is get off your ass. And that can lead to magical things happening. But even the second key is to bust your ass. But you don't do that for long before you get to the third key, which is make others bust their ass for you. And the fourth one was watch your ass. And the 5th one is, of course, the most important, wash your ass. And those are the 5 keys to magic. And otherwise, I don't believe in much. I believe in me, Yoko and me. But as my friend Nenslow said, friends, disbelief is a belief too. So you can't get away from it. It seems to go with being a primate. Now, and despite the fact that I'm basically a subgenius secular humanist scientist, yet I help run registration here at Starwood, and I bust my ass on that because I don't practice what I preach, because I'm not the kind of person I'm preaching to. That's what God said. And people misunderstand the Church of the Subgenius sometimes. They think it's a satire, takeoff on kooks and so forth. No, we're really kooks. And it's like, they think, well, it's a takeoff on the conspiracy. In fact, as I was up there running registration, somebody had kept calling, whining, not to ACE, but to Brushwood, about how they were a hardship case, so they should get in cheap or free, because they were a hardship case, because they spent their money on cigarettes or something. And Princess Wee said, you know, I think down there on the field we have 700 hardship cases. And I said, yeah, man, money first, bulls can talk, but bills can walk. And our friend Bruce Flores said, Stang, you really are conspiracy, aren't you? I went, well, duh. But the conspiracy we're talking about it may not be the one that you think we're talking about. Well, I was like Groucho Marx. Bruce pointed out there's some Groucho Marx movie where first he's wheedling and guilt-tripping people into giving him a big meal. And then when he's finished with the meal, they ask him for his help in return, and he says, I feel differently now that I've eaten. And it's funny how, you know, once you you're against it, you think that inheritance tax thing is all just terrible until you are up for an inheritance. It's funny how that works. But really our point about the conspiracy is that we call the conspiracy them, but its worst incarnation is us. Because every time we say us, we're part of the conspiracy. Conspiracy is what divides everybody up. Every time you say something nasty, and if it's uncalled for, then you're part of the conspiracy. Every time you're jealous, there's the conspiracy inside you coming out. But not every time you lie. Sometimes it's okay to lie. I have to confess, I've lied to a Jehovah's Witness. They came to my door not too long ago, two very polite Jehovah's Witnesses, and my policy is to be, I know what it's like to be a religious nut, especially if you're in a cult that expects the world to end all the time, and it never does. So I have a special place in my plus their illustrations are great, and a lot of the SubGenius graphics seen here are stolen and trippied up from Jehovah's Witness books. But these two nice Jehovah's Witnesses came to the door, and I was polite to them and told them I really admired their publishing empire. I was very familiar with their history, and we were into Jehovah too. And I basically was going, look, I'm busy. I'm already saved. I think they probably figured I was Jewish or something. But I said, as they were about to leave, I said, hey, look, I'm for any religion that doesn't want to kill everybody. And they actually high-fived me at that. But friends, that was a lie. Because I'm actually part of one of the very few religions that really does want to kill just about everybody. It's worked into Bob's prophecy on X Day, July 5th, 1998, whenever that day finally truly comes, and the calendars can be reset properly. The aliens from Planet X will come and destroy everyone except the dues-paying SubGenius ministers. In fact, they'll let the SubGeniuses fly spaceships around and destroy everybody they didn't like, which is what we mean by the conspiracy. But, so it's true, I did lie to a Jehovah's Witness, but the bright side of that is every time you lie to a Jehovah's Witness, Bob has a little orgasm in his pants. Isn't that sweet? So I love preaching to the unsaved, but I'm not going to try to give you a SubGenius 101. I'll just kind of spread that in context. Bob is, of course, the guy with the pipe. I'm not Bob. He's not the alter ego of any SubGenius preacher. It's just that every time he tries to get up in public, somebody tries to kill him. As he instructed us to, he told us to hate him and free ourselves from his hypnotic trance power over us. And we dutifully, every year, we burn his image right here at Brushwood, just like he told us to. We hate him and rebel against him on a yearly basis, just like he said. So we're like any other religion in that respect. A lot of SubGeniuses get into the inside jokes before they really have picked up on the outer joke, which is them. Actually, if you were thinking you knew the outside joke, that it was a takeoff on silly religious beliefs or something. No, it's a takeoff on you and me and all of us bipedal upright tool users. But nonetheless, despite any possible flaw of J.R. Bob Dobbs, such as the fact that he is, after all, a mind-controlled death cult leader who'll take all your money. Bob is replaces the drugs. And that's because if you really meditate on that face and just looking at the dots on his face, if you're doing it right, it eats up as many brain cells that it might as well be just like using the drugs. So he can free you from that, friends. At the same time, let's face it, the Church of the SubGenius is like the Chinese finger trap of the mind. We get people to get stuck in it, and some of them actually go insane from it. And there are several examples of that. Then we charge them for the cure. The insanity is pretty cheap. You can become a minister for only $30. I think Al-Qaeda is 35. And we promise you something that the other religions hardly ever mention, or if they do, they try to put a little box around it and specify what it is. We promise you slack. Now, sometimes odd people go, Reverend Stang, I sent him my $30. I was ordained as a minister, and I performed marriages and did all that, and made fun of my Baptist neighbors and had a lot of fun, but I don't have any slack. Where's the slack? Friends, you already have slack. The greatest slogan of the church is, the SubGenius must have slack. Now, Bob didn't say you must get slack. It means you have to have it to begin with in the first place to be a SubGenius. And the SubGeniuses are the ones who know they're not getting what they're due. Somebody else is taking away your slack, and that's the conspiracy. And the conspiracy is anybody you don't like. And slack is anything you really, really wanted to do. For some people, it's working. For the really lucky OCD folks, like myself, some of us, slack is frantically working at the thing we want to work at. They'll do it without pay. As I did for a long time. As Onan said, slack can come when you throw good money after bad and bad money after Bob. It's that simple, and that money, that's just holding you down. That's the conspiracy's handcuff. Those fancy golden expensive wristwatches are handcuffs, and the money is like a ball and chain. And I will risk repeating myself and saying, yes, we can, if you want to turn in your balls and chains and handcuffs, we'll see that you are saved from them. We'll put them in the right hands. Onan said, slack is the oomph in comfortable. And friends, magic without a K. Magic is a foot, and slack is a shoe. Isn't that, you can sort of think about that like tonight. And if any of you can make sense of it, please explain it to me. A lot of what Bob says is sort of inscrutable. You may be familiar with many of his most famous slogans, such as, pull the wool over your own eyes and relax in the safety of your own delusions. Now, the fact is, you're still blind. But it sounds good, doesn't it? And it's better than pulling their wool over your eyes. And too much, he said, Bob said, too much is always better than not enough. So you ponder that on the way to the emergency ward, getting your stomach pumped. Sometimes he leaves the not so funny ending off of his slogans. The original was, too much is always better than not enough, but it's almost as bad. But that doesn't have quite the same kick to it. The college kids don't go for that. It's too real. And as Baldwin Lee Kramer said, I've had it up to here. It's that old, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. I've had it up to here, and I've also had it down to there, and frankly, he said, I like it down to there better. And, but as I say, the conspiracy that we're talking about, the thing that keeps us from slack, the one roadblock to actually meeting Bob and getting your full dose of Bob is, it's not just George Bush and his little halibuddies. We're not talking about, I have to read this part because it's new. We're not talking about the conspiracy that assassinated JFK, then assassinated the assassin of JFK, then assassinated the assassin of JFK. We're not talking about the conspiracy that covers up crashed UFOs, or the conspiracy of the reptoids in public office, or the conspiracy that keeps electric carts off the road or puts fluoride in the water. Nor the mail order clip art, internet mind control, kook cult conspiracy. And we're definitely not talking about the conspiracy of conspiracy nuts for whom the real live conspiracy of the 9/11 hijackers wasn't enough of a conspiracy. We're talking, friends, about the conspiracy of the normal, ordinary, everyday people who do not even know that they're conspiring against the weirdos and slackers and freakazoids, misfits, disbelievers, or, my favorite kind, those who will believe anything. That's how I started out. I remember my first walk down the cult aisle of the used bookstore, and I bet a lot of you do too. I thought, my God, if any of this is for real, it's the most important thing in the world. And I researched like crazy, like any good occult and paranormal comparative religion nut for 10 years. And at the end of it, I decided that what I'd learned was there were a lot of really interesting people out there. I actually became more interested in the believers than in the beliefs, because they all start to merge together. As Connie Dobbs, the wife of Dobbs, said, I like my religion dry with a twist of sarcasm. And we, the SubGenius Church is real in that if you think about it, it's a hell of a lot bigger than Heaven's Gate, for instance, ever was. How many of them killed themselves? 39. And then there was another 50 or so that wussed out. And Jonestown, speaking of interesting cults, 900 people. This guy got 900 people to kill themselves. Friends, there are like 9,000 subgeniuses whose addresses we still have. There's more like 40,000 of them who sent in their $30, but we know no more where they are now than where all that money went. But we have a very active social life. It's unlike, but there's lots of funny rival cults like the Flying Spaghetti Monster and the Scientologists and so forth that are also satirical takeoffs. But they don't. They haven't been around as long. Certainly not the Flying Spaghetti Monster folks. Praise the Flying Spaghetti Monster. But we've been around long enough that I run into kids. I run into grown-ups who say, oh man, my parents were into Bob. I hate that shit. They made me memorize that stuff. And then I also run into people who go, wow, I used to listen to your radio show, Hour of Slack, when I was a teenager. Man, we couldn't live without it. We listened all the time. And that's when I have to go, it's still on. But my favorite part of the social activity of the church is the news group on the internet called alt.slack, which used to be sort of more secret, but now you can get to it with Google groups. And as Princess We Are Dope, Queen of All the UFOs, said, alt.slack is the most anti-social social activity I can think of. And every news group has horrible flame wars now and then. That's all alt.slack is. And we have some, oh God, there are some really good writers on there. And at the same time, and it's flypaper for very good humorous type writers and for kooks. It's the great kook flypaper. In fact, I think that the feds, whichever one you are, hi, who follow us, they know. I should have known. I think they don't worry so much about us because we're not trying to. We're waiting for the aliens to kill everybody for us, right? We make a big deal out of that. Don't kill somebody just because you think they're pink conspiracy people. They may be subgeniuses in disguise. Only Bob and the aliens can tell that. But at the same time, we can certainly attract, how shall I say it, the differently saned. Far be it from us to call somebody else crazy. So we have these other terms that are, one person said, the church is to crazy people making asses of themselves what bug zappers are to bugs, what matadors are to bulls, what Lucy Van Pelt with her football is to Charlie Brown. And we attract such kooks. Oh, man. I have been accused so many times of being, how does they put it, satanic, Masonic, Jewish. Normally those don't all run together, although my next door neighbor said, hey, I'm Masonic, satanic Jew, and what's the other thing you throw in? And he was gay, too. I've learned from studying kooks that everything proves that everything is a satanic, Masonic Jew. That's what they ultimately, most of those crackpots come down to. And I do not know what their hang-up is on them. I'll never figure that out. But we do know this. Their hot button is our trampoline. We like to find the hot button of somebody got a bee in their bonnet about something. I don't care if it's unions being good or unions being bad or who killed JFK or whether they moved the flying saucer from Roswell to Area 51 or what, if we're able to figure out their hot button, we'll jump up and down on it until they either go away or, like me, build a really thick shell. Although even I can get upset. Some of these people, Princess Wee said, you have to put on the kid gloves for these people with kid gloves. They're that far gone. And, but the difference between our cult and almost all the other ones is we don't know everything and we don't mind admitting it. What rule book, besides the Book of the Subgenius, which has the word humor on the back and the word lies on every page, what rule book says we have to know why the universe exists? Or even if it does? Those are the... I sometimes think to myself, oh, I'm but the poor blinded cyclops stumbling towards what I think might be light. Like the people in Plato's famous cave watching the flickering of the firelights, the shadows, and thinking that's the real world, which kind of reminds me of the flickering of the TV set and everybody who, people are paranoid about loss of privacy, and there's cameras everywhere, and there are, and every time, if you do something, they'll probably have it on tape. But really, they don't have to put cameras on the TV as long as you're watching TV. Then they know what you're doing. You're just watching TV. The conspiracy doesn't have to be smart. It just lets people build, as they say, the prisoners are happiest when they build their own cages. And turn on any cable or network TV and you'll see a beautiful cage built by your purchases and their advertisers. I download everything from the internet so I don't have to watch the commercials. Well, friends, do you yourself ever wonder, do you ever worry that you're a braying jackass? Well, you can quit worrying. We're all in this together. God, as Bob said, God forgot to make stupidity painful. And we're here to change that, we like to think. Now, that involves a certain amount of, how did Professor Pressure put it, deniable plausibility. If we throw out enough truths that sound like jokes, they won't kill us. Because we can always say, well, we were just kidding. And you want to know the truth? We were. But still, I've been amazed at how many times my buddies and I, under the influence of Bob and sometimes alcohol or such like, would come up with something that was so ridiculous, we'd think, man, let's not, that's just too silly to even publish it. And then it's in the newspaper the next day. I'm so jealous of those South Park guys. We used to sit around making up the same thing they do, only what was so funny was the idea of it ever being allowed on television. Now it makes millions on television. Praise the South Park guys. Anyway, our one subgenius said, the Church of the Subgenius is like a giant inverse push me, pull you, with 1,000 assholes pointed in different directions and only a vestigial head. And that's why I like it so much, he said. Now, speaking of stupidity, there's some great titles in the Starwood book. I usually don't have to write much of a sermon for Starwood because there's so much great stuff just in the schedule. And this is not to put down the subject matter or the people who taught these courses or workshops or whatever. It's just that they're funny titles, like this one. The Drum Circle is not your backup band. I saw that, and it got me to, I was talking with, was it you? I don't know, somebody, we were talking about the Starwood dumbassery, the special dumbassery of Starwood. Go talk to the Brushwood staff. Some of the things they have to tell people. Oh, it started with, somebody had left a nice delicate glass on the ground in the drum circle. And some dumbass knocked a drum over, broke the glass, so there's glass all over this place where there's barefoot people tromping around. And so number one rule was don't leave glasses in the drum circle, breakable glasses. Also, the drums are not chairs for the public, and you can't just use anybody's drum you find sitting around. Now this is one that the Brushwood staff has to actually tell people. It's printed in their rules. Don't set up your tent in the middle of the road. And you laugh, but I have seen people start to do that, and that was before they'd even started drinking or doing the drugs. And there's so much stupid shit that happens out here, it gets to where some people become stupid shit snobs, where they're only interested in a certain kind of stupid shit. And they look down on the others who are interested in the other kind of, the lesser stupid shit. Anyway, the drum circle is not your backup band. Oh, Men's Sweat Lodge Workshop. Now, have you ever stood downwind of a hippie? How inviting does that sound? I know what a sweat lodge is. I've actually been in one, but let's face it. True origins of the ancient Hebrews. Now, there's a whole division of redneck kookery that thinks that the true Israel are the people who came north to England and then moved to America and are now racist bastards, and they're the true Jews. So that means they're better than anybody else in the chosen race, and they get to decide who to lynch. I don't think that was what this one was actually about, but it brings to mind those. I'm from Dallas. You know, if you grew up in Dallas, Texas, wouldn't you start your own religion? They're all telling you you're going to go to hell. So we just developed a bigger and better hell. A much more interesting hell. A hell that you can design yourself. In fact, the subgenius, you have to go through the subgenius hell first, just to be ready for the pleasures of SubGenius heaven, because otherwise it would just kill you with pleasure. I was hoping that my colleague Dr. Legume would be here to elaborate on SubGenius heaven and hell, but he might have taken his chill pills. And he may be in SubGenius hell right now, we'll see. An audience with the gods. Well, that's what I'm getting. You are the gods. I'm getting that's what the New Age says anyway. Everybody is a god. That's ungodly. Actually, you are all gods except for the ones who think you're gods. You are assholes. This is why they hire me. See, people that ask me, Stang, why do you end up preaching those pagan things? Don't they hate you? And I go, no. Half the pagans are really, pagan doesn't mean anything to begin with, really. And half of them love going to those things. They know how to party. They know the secret of fire and the secret of rhythm, which the SubGeniuses certainly don't. We're working hard on both of those. So, we're trying to learn from you, but I know the other half are the fundy pagans. There's the ones who aren't here. And they're the ones you'd like me to make fun of. That's what I do. Fundamentalists are the same everywhere, and there's fundamentalist SubGeniuses. We call them bobbies. But we like to say we put the fun in fundamentalism, we put the duh in fundamentalism, we put the me in fundamentalism, we put the is in fundamentalism, the ism, the I, the It just goes a mental. We put a lot of the mental in fundamentalism. That must be old. I'm sure everybody here has already come up with that. Oh, the food guy. I just thought, now talk about gods. That's a great name for, that's a great person to be, the food guy. After I feel differently now that I've eaten. Getting real, practicing honesty in relationships. God, it seems like that would just defeat the purpose. Toward a nude model for relationship. Oh no, new model. Oh, forget that one. Pagan speed dating and networking. I like that one. There's another one that's like redneck meth dating and networking. Prosperity, a money washing ritual. And we're into that. Prosperity, money laundering, brainwashing. Same guy. Food is magic. Food is magic. And the products of food are magic if you believe in Jenkum. Does anybody here know raise your hand if you know what Jenkum is? Okay, I'm not going to go into that. Just forget it. You don't want to know. I could outgross you. I could do something worse than anything Paul Krasner said. But I'm not going to lower myself to scatological humor. Who wants to, Oberon did this one, I guess, yesterday. Who wants to live forever? And friends, I don't. And when you're young, not only do you want to live forever, but you think you're going to. And it's even developed to the point where there's a theory called the singularity, right? Kurzweil was the guy who came up with this. The idea that the computers are getting so much faster and we're learning so much, and there's this curve, right, of knowledge. And we're now approaching this part of the curve of knowledge where we're learning so much so fast that at some point the computers will get much smarter than us, and they'll rebuild new computers that are even smarter, and they'll have the answers to everything, and everything will be perfect in about 50 years. And that's called the singularity. So if you can live that long, you might well be able to live forever. And I think that's a beautiful religious belief. But what it leaves out is the ideogularity, the opposing force. As some of you may have seen that movie, Idiocracy, which shows the opposing force. Yes, praise Mike Judge. He used to listen to our Slack when he lived in Dallas, by the way. You know, that's the thing. It's a race. It's which will we get to first, the ideogularity or the singularity? And I personally, I think that ever since 1998, I haven't been much for predictions myself. Frank Zappa said, you know, we all grow up. Sylvia was saying, God, every generation has its own dystopia. When I was growing up, at first the dystopia was like Planet of the Apes or Road Warrior. It was going to be a nuclear holocaust and all civilization was going to get destroyed except for the baddest asses and the gorillas or something. Unfortunately, I wish. But then there was the 1984 dystopia, which some people grew up with, and now the kids are growing up with the global warming dystopia, and so forth. You know, it's different for each person. And I'm 55 now, and I'm glad that I probably won't live to be 150, because I see things getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. And my dad used to say, I'd be listening to Jimi Hendrix and go, that stuff, not even music, it's just noise. Now I'm starting to hear my own friends that are my age go, that's rap music, that's not even music, that's just noise. Well, they were both right. But the thing is, you know, you turn on the TV, the less you watch TV, the dumber it looks when you do watch it. And it's every time I try to live in my own little ivory tower and talk to nothing but SubGeniuses, and that's depressing enough. But you know, I was telling my friend Nikki, it's like she's 20 years younger than me, and she'll have to see 20 years more worth of dumbassery than I'll have to. Now, I might not live to see the free energy thing or, you know, Mr. Fusion. I might miss out on some good stuff, but at the same time, I think it's best that we old folks make room for the young ones, because I don't think we're tough enough for some of the crap they're going to have to deal with. We're in the middle of a species, a mass extinction. There's been a lot of them. You know, most people know about the one that wiped out the dinosaurs, but there was actually a couple before that that were much, much worse. And there have been some since then, and we're the latest one. It's been going on for about 50,000 years, and it's really coming to a head. And I don't have any advice at all. I can't tell you what your slack is. I can't tell you how best you can fight the conspiracy. As Saint Ken Kesey put it, put your good where it'll do the most. I don't know what your good is. Maybe your good is voting for Rush Limbaugh for president. Hell if I know. But it's, you know, but it is up to you. It's up to you and your slack, and I'm glad I'm not going to live forever. Here's another good title. Quantum Holographic Fractal Universe. The 4 least understood words in the dictionary. But boy, are they handy. Using those words, there's like back in the old days, all you had to do to explain a giant monster was say, atomic radiation. Well, now all you have to say is, to explain anything, including the JFK assassination, quantum holographic fractal universe, man. Homeopathy, tips for dis-ease, free living. No comment. Teen pool party. I missed it. Oh, punctuation enhanced meaning. I was going to mention that. I was going through this book, and I noticed that some of the presenters obviously write their own blurbs. And you can tell the ones who feel the most godly because their punctuation has the most capital letters. And they capitalize every noun to give it this profundity, this weight. And especially if it's a noun describing the things that they're expert in. Things that are normally not capitalized at all. Now, I'm guilty of comic book punctuation, where certain words have all caps all the way through. That's a type of kook punctuation unless you're a subgenius. Then it's comic book punctuation, and that's cool. I think that's about it with the Dork Side of the Moon. Damn, I missed that. What a great title. I bet it was, too. Ascend was this morning. Ascend, as opposed to front end, I suppose. Oh, and our friend Phil Farber had a thing called Introduction to Meta Magic. And I read up on that, and it was basically the magic of magic. And I thought, I should do one that's like meta-skepticism, the debunking of skepticism, which is not that hard to do. The art of possession, deity, demon, or departed. Not enough choices. I think there's a few. Steve Gaskin was talking about Zen of politics and the transmission of mind. And I think Zen is the best way to look at politics, because otherwise you'll just go crazy. I've been studying radical and reactionary politics and extremes for so long that I've been driven directly into the middle of the road. Which some people say, that's the most dangerous place to be, man. But you know what? Politics isn't really a road. And there is a median anyway. And generally we tend to try to stay about 15 feet above the road, so you can look down on it and get an overview of the whole thing. And at that point, you notice that it's a good cop, bad cop game, but they're all cops! Oh, what did you say I was going to talk about here? I did compose the title, The Bob and B. Obama, Conspiracy and Coincidence, but I didn't write the rest. I bet Ian Corrigan did. Can the president have slack? That would depend on the president, I guess. How does sheer dumb luck allow the vilest members of the species to pretend to rule the world? Well, you know what? It's not sheer dumb luck. It's called democracy. There's a serious problem with democracy. Sometimes I don't have any answers for that. Friends, if Bob Dobbs is who he says he is, he's already world overlord. And we sell little buttons over there that say, don't blame me, I voted for Bob. They'll come in handy no matter what. We also had a bumper sticker. Bob's sayings did not always come true, but one of them that did was, quote, it's gonna be a bummer, man. And you can't argue with that one. That one did. The other thing Bob said is the one law in our church, the one slogan that we live on, you really can live by, the one thing that legitimizes the whole Church of the SubGenius is our one law, and I think some of you know what it is. It is, fuck them if they can't take a joke. Pardon my English there, French, whatever. German, I think, is the original where that word came from. But really, you can live by that philosophy. Try it and see, with the most frustrating moments of your life, try to remember that one line. Fuck them if they can't take a joke. Now, whenever I'm cutting these speeches for radio, I have to bleep every time I say that word. And then I suddenly lose perspective. And it's hard for me to say, fuck me if I can't take a joke. But I'm going to have to go and bleep that one again. I might as well fill in the bleeps. Bleep, 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 bleep. Okay, edit point there. Cut. You think I'm kidding. Oh, but Paul Krasner's thing, Porn Soup. When I read that title, I thought, now that's false advertising. I just know it is. But it wasn't. He was He was telling the truth. I've seen those websites, every single one of them he's talking about. It's scandalous, terrible. It's awful the things that are in there. Oh, ferry races of the British Isles. That was just done a little while ago in the lounge. And I had been wondering about the ferry races. I heard they were doping the ferries, and there was a big scandal about that. They were going to call off ferry racing because of all the illegal doping. Oh, and also experimental, my friend Beth Rosemary was doing experimental ferry working. I thought that the slave trade in ferries had been made illegal. It's ferry working. How can you, what are they good for? Tying your shoelaces? Standing in nowhere. Well, here I am. Oh, and here's I'm going to finish with this one. Kenny Klein's, this is the most honest title of all of these, Opinionated History of Pagan Music. He didn't say a history of pagan music, he said opinionated history of pagan music, and that is honest. And that's good. What time is it? Oh my God. Friends, you don't have to sit and watch this devival, nor do you have to sit and watch the stupid TV shows you complain about. Somebody was complaining about our stupid blather on alt.slack. And British subgenius, Reverend Diva Schematic, she was replying to somebody who said, anybody who's really into Star Wars is a mental defective who needs to be put down. It's like, doesn't that describe pretty much everybody? And she said, you aren't forced to watch these things, idiot. If you don't like being fucked up the ass with a brick, stop sitting on the brick. So that is words to live by. My friend Sodi said, in the gap between the best possible result and the best result possible lurks slack. And as Nenslow said, the Church of the Subgenius is like steroids on acid. So I could go to a Q&A for the last 15 minutes. I could also tell you the real conspiracy behind 9/11. You want to hear what really the real thing behind 9/11? Somebody said, well, which seems more likely to you? Bush and his cohorts, including a multitude of Arab leaders and the press, are all evil geniuses who not only conceived this intricate plot, but managed to execute it to perfection by working together? Or are our leaders and theirs are terminally pink moron fuck-ups, pawns of a conspiracy bigger than even they can comprehend? And this subgenius cuttlefish said, I think the Twin Towers cut themselves shaving. And the next guy said, they were cleaning their airplanes and they didn't know they were loaded. The hypnotist who hypnotized the bricks the towers were made of fell asleep and the bricks stopped believing. A janitor was cleaning the basement and he saw a big red button that said, do not press this button. Jonathan Livingston Seagull flew back into this dimension after 30 years at 2/3 the speed of light and smacked into them. It was Colonel Mustard in the conservatory. Some wise ass said, look, Pamela Anderson is running down the street topless, and everyone rushed to one side of the building at the same time. And last but not least, all together now, the Jews did it. I'm getting so tired of that one. I'm not even Jewish. Let's see. Some gods are evidently so weak that they need humans to do their dirty work for them. And you can't say it's just the gods' fan clubs to blame. The gods let them do this crap. Now, your real gods, your proper old-timey gods, get what they want by sheer omnipotence and magic, not by bombs or YouTube videos. And they must really enjoy the hell out of all this ruckus, the sick bastards. And I got a little postcard here from a SubGenius I don't even know, but you can tell when Bob channeled stuff, because this is a new Bob saying announced here for the first time. Tell me if you can explain it. The road to heaven is paved with meat. The road to meat is not paved at all. See what I mean about, only Bob would come up with something like that? I think Zippy the Pinhead must be his cousin. Anyway, that is all the formal statements I had, but we have 15 minutes for Q&A. Yes. Oh, by the way, I'm kind of deaf, so you have to really speak up.
How can we live in consciousness if we're eating off of single-use plastic plates and drinking out of single-use plastic bottles?
Oh, how can we live in consciousness if we're drinking out of single-use plastic and all the stuff that completely destroys the environment?
Yeah.
Put acid in the water.
Oh man, what was my snappy comeback for that? Besides, well, that doesn't have much to do with living in consciousness necessarily. We're eventually going to fill up the planet with crap to the point where there's no other animals left except humans. Then we will destroy our environment to the point where we devolve back to an animal-like state, and there's very few of us left. But from that point, the human-like little horrible devolved critters can then evolve back up into different things. There'll be little naked human-like things that live underground that are fill the niche that moles have. There'll be humans that learn how to fly like flying squirrels and, build little nests in the trees. Like every creature will be descended from humans, and they'll live on a horrible, disgusting planet made of plastic bottles like this. Now, there is a SubGenius. Now I remember what the snappy comeback is, and it's actually it's looking towards the future. The SubGeniuses believe in strength through disfigurement. That is, build up your immunities. Don't fret about whether this food is going to have too much sodium or might give you cholesterol or something. Go for it, man. Eat that burger. Just indulge in that. Don't resist temptation. Give in to them and build up your immunities. Strength through disfigurement. That gives people excuses for all kinds of terrible activities. This is a religion. This isn't a science, and it doesn't have to make sense. It only has to sound good. It's a pep talk. It's just to make you feel good for a little while. It doesn't have to be based on anything real. In fact, if it does make sense, it ain't a good religion. You don't use your mind to think about your religion, Bob said. You use your foot, your soul. Your soul, it's right here. That's where you think, it's what you use to think about your religion. You walk on it. You don't sit there waiting. You get out there and walk on it. Friends, I got a thin soul. Any other questions? No man hugs now. I know I'm getting to yours, bitch. Okay. What is yours?
I promise I won't hug you until later.
Huh?
I promise I won't hug you until later.
Okay.
How do you answer those people that say that you were involved in a conspiracy to put Starwood 18 on the front of the cover so that you could have a second chance to end the world in 1998?
My response is, that's a great idea. I wish I'd thought of it. Wait a minute. Well, that would mean this was 1998. But look, man, I was right out there at 7 a.m. on July 5th, and all we got was a bunch of drunks from Seattle trying to be funny. And out trying to upstage me. It was pathetic. And the little bitch in the corner there. Because of this hoe's bitchiness, because of her nasty ways, her pushy and arrogant ways of taking all her clothes off and impressing everybody, and also being funny. Come on up here, Allison. Everyone, I'm sure, many of you here know. Oh, you did want to ask me a question. Oh, okay. What was the question?
That's a serious question. What do you think of the welfare system in the United States, and how do you think it's going to affect our future?
What about the United States?
What do you think about the welfare system in the U.S. and how it's going to affect our future?
The what in the U.S.?
Welfare system.
I'm old. So you kids talk so fast. I have to slow the tapes down just to understand what you're saying to me. The welfare system in the United States? I wish I could figure out a way to get on that thing. I have friends who get paid. You might think about this. I have friends who get paid to stay home and take their crazy pills. Now, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to present Allison here. Has never signed up for the Church of the SubGenius. And we rarely do honorary SubGenius things, but she has done some of the most offensive things I've ever seen. Why are you just pointing at him? You've been pointing at half the people here. In fact, I have the tape from last night. We thought about showing it here. Here is your SubGenius membership pack. By the way, these are available down there by the table. You can perform real marriages. You get the official, divine, all-inclusive excuse, which she really needs. I saw what you did with the coffee machine up there the other day. You said, this thing is out of coffee, and then dumped what was left onto the... You need somebody to spank your fanny hard. I hallucinated it, but that doesn't matter. I'm a SubGenius. You also get a doctorate in here, a doctorate of the forbidden sciences. You get a little buttons and bumper stickers and booklets and a million ads to stick in strange places. Here you go. Get out of here. Now you don't have to sneak into SubGenius places anymore. She was costing us too much in security. Okay, there's a question. Judges found out about that, and having been lied to, they basically said, okay, the mom has residential custody. It's still joint custody, but the mom gets to decide when the kid can see the dad. And let me put it this way, I don't think that family will be coming back to New York State anytime soon. So it all worked out well, but only because the bad guy fucked up so bad. Otherwise, the court system would have continued the whole injustice. Unfortunately, when that went out of the news, we quit making it. We made a lot of money off of that. And in fact, Dr. Phil even approached us about, well, let's have them on the show, have both of them on the show, and we could get them, end this family squabble. And then as soon as the troubles ended, they weren't interested anymore. We also had a reality. Both the mom and I got a letter from some yo-yos in Hollywood going, we're the successful producers of these reality shows. And we rattled off some crap by them. And, we'd like to do a reality show about this. We did not even answer that letter. I think you'll be proud of us for not contributing to pandering. We'll pander, we'll act stupid for money, we'll do all kinds of dumb stuff, but not that. Not network reality TV. Ugh, patooey.
Ivan, did you meet Paul Cambria that took the course pro bono?
Meet who?
Paul Cambria.
Who's he?
Paul Cambria, famous first right amendment attorney. He took a case in Florida pro bono with a custody battle.
Actually, they may have. that name seems familiar, but I'm not sure. All I know is they've still got a $130,000 legal bill. And so there's a little, if you look at subgenius.com and poke around in the news section, you can donate money. But I think we managed to raise a whole $7,000 or something. What other news was there? Insight! Smiling Bob! The dude is going to prison! He had to forfeit $1 billion! He's losing his home and his mom's going to jail. That's what happens when you try to cop J.R. Bob Dobbs. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, on certain cable network channels, you're harassed endlessly by this ads for male enhancement pills called Insight. And they're actually pretty funny ads, but they stole Bob for him. It's Bob, but without a pipe, and they call him Bob. And he grins and he's stupid, but he has a big wanger because of these pills, which, by the way, are a complete fraud. And they were convicted of fraud, and the guy and his mom are going to be locked up and lose everything. And I've been telling everybody that I get half, but actually we didn't even try to mess with that. Our policy generally is to avoid anything that has to do with lawyers at all, because they get all the money. My dad's a lawyer. And how do you think I became a preacher, friends? Actually, I found out I'm descended from at least four of my great-grandfathers were preachers. Probably crazy preachers. So, you never know. Any other questions? Because it's going to be dinner time. The third most important thing in life, food. No, it's the fourth. No, that's fifth. Number one is having atoms that exist in space. Number two is breathing. Number three is drinking. Number four is peeing. They always leave that one out. Number five is eating. And number six is extra meditation. So I'm not going to be like Paul Krasner. Crass. I'm not going to be crass like that. They call him Krasner for nothing. And then from there it goes on. Bob actually comes after sex. And sex comes after your back not hurting. Now some of you can laugh all you want about that, but you'll see, if you're lucky, you'll see. So I think it's dinner time. Is there one more question? Anything? Yeah.
I just wanted to run a quick one by you. I think the woman's question, she's a newbie, but Bob would dictate to her that we have more important things to kid around about.
We have more important things to what?
The answer to that question would be, we have more important things to kid around about.
We have more important things to sit around about.
Kid around about.
Joke. Oh, shit around about. Man, I'm serious. My hearing really isn't getting any better.
Like the gloves.
More important things to kid around about.
To kid around about. Yes. Oh, there's a lot of important things to kid around about, but I didn't want to bring y'all down. The mass extinction is bad enough, don't you think? So, anyway, I say, God is great, God is good, let us thank Him for this food. Amen. It's time for dinner, and I'm glad this is over with on Friday. So I get to party like on Saturday. Thank you all for coming. The Sacred Swag Table is open. We have wonderful videos, and we have a new book out. If you didn't know, the Bibliography is over there, and we have special low prices because we don't have to mail it to you, you see. And if you're, we take credit cards and checks, and we'll take you for anything we can get. Praise God!
Look at the bumpers. What's that?